I hope everyone's having a happy and safe Palm Sunday. We had a great service at church today. It's been an exciting week. It's been an exciting week. So we'll sit here and wait for a few people to get into the chat. Start seeing if we got people. Trace just said we have 3 people in. Let's give it a few minutes and we'll get going on these questions. We're up to 4. Who are they, Trace? Tell me some names. Okay. Okay, Lee's in. Hey, Lee. We got 7 now. We'll give it a couple of more minutes and let everyone get in. It might be a little bit early. All right, we'll get going. Yeah, it was an exciting week. We had the city manager fired by the council on Tuesday, and that's been the hot button issue right now on social media. A lot of people are upset with it. I released my official campaign statement on the situation. I'd like everybody to know we saw this coming a few weeks ago, so it's not anything that was a surprise. We knew it was coming. We knew they were working in the background. In his statement on the current mayor's statement on Flagler Live, it made no sense, and I sent it to a few people and said, "Can you make heads or tails of this?" So we knew that was coming. So let's go ahead and get into the questions because I don't want to have everyone sitting around waiting, and we'll just go with some of the questions that we already have. That we've already received. And this question here comes from Leo. It says, you have stated that you have had experience running what equates to a city of about 40,000 people in population. Can you tell us more about that experience? When I first announced, I put out the information. I worked for a couple of years over in Okinawa for the Marine Corps on Camp Foster and Lester. I worked for the camp director, who was the civilian, pretty much the mayor of this city. So I was like the assistant city manager of the installation. I was the anti-terrorism and critical infrastructure protection officer. So I ran the emergency operations center within our organization. We handled everything. We handled in processing of people, getting all their certifications done before they went on to their units. Working with tenant units, the Naval Hospital on Okinawa for the entire island. So we had about 40,000 people, to include military personnel, their dependents, DoD contractors, and Japanese civilians that worked for us, and American contractors on different contracts over there for the different organizations that support the military. So we did everything. We had storm preparedness and recovery, any type of evacuation of the island if contingency operations warranted it. So we ran the city. We dealt with the schools. We had DoD schools on our installation. So we basically ran the city. We did special events. We had the Okinawa Comic Con. That was one event we had every year that I had to plan for. Staff and make sure all the security was in place, because we would open up the gates and invite the local nationals on, and we had to turn around probably about 60,000 people on an event like that. So that's people coming into the installation that had to be vetted into the installation. So I worked with fire rescue. I worked with the provost marshal's office, which is the military's police force, NCIS. All those investigating organizations for crimes and anything that happened on military installations. So that's what I did during that. As far as my background, I'm sure everyone's read about it. I served 24 years active duty military, both enlisted and as an officer. I have 2 master's degrees, and one in management leadership, one in human resources management. What you got? Question. So so that's my background, my education, and my military experience being a leader from the time I was 18 years old. So that's my background. So if you look at the competition that's in the race right now, we don't know who else is going to get in, but if you look at my resume and you compare them to the other people that are in the race, I have far more experience, life experience, and leadership experience. I don't think any of the other gentlemen that are running in the race has led organizations the size that I have led in my career, and worked with people across the world and know how to interact and do those operations. One of the questions, Lee said, hospital, police, fire. Yes, I work with all those over in Okinawa. I was on first name basis with the PMO, the fire chief, and all the events. Most of our incidents, and a lot of people, you won't see this, but if you see my resume, I have some of the most sought after certifications from FEMA and emergency management that you can get. Some of them you can't get a federal job without having those certifications, and I have all of them about planning, incident management, NIMS, the National Incident Management System. All those certifications I have. I'm just not in the field right now. My basic field was security, installation protection, critical infrastructure protection. That was my specialty. I was in security. My last assignment before I left federal government was the Naval Submarine Base up at Kings Bay. I was a physical security supervisor, which means I handled the installation, security of the entire installation, bringing contractors in. Anybody that wanted to come on that installation, they had to go through my office, and the people that worked for me. I had 2 pass and ID offices that managed the inflow of people on our installation. So yes, Lee, I have worked with hospital, police, and fire. That for that question. Okay. You got any more coming in, Trace? Okay. Let's see. Well, I pretty much answered that one. Skills. Martin asked, how do you plan to shape or mold our city's labor force as the mayor? Everyone should know one of my main focuses within my platform is to bring industrial growth and employment opportunities. We have approximately 20 to 23,000 people that leave our county every morning to go work somewhere else. So that number of people, that's a large portion of our population that leaves every morning to go work somewhere else. And a lot of these people are career minded. They are trying to move up in the world, make a decent living for the family, to be able to live here in our community. And we need to provide jobs for those people. So my big push is to bring industrial growth that can sustain our tax base. Right now, 90 to 93% of our taxes come from residential homeowners. That is completely unsustainable, and we have to work towards fixing that balance. And I guess any more questions come in, or I can go ahead and hit this. Okay, I'm gonna tell you a little secret that you might not know. Our current mayor, don't listen to 90% of what he tells you. Don't listen to it. If you want to know what he's thinking, listen to his business partner. Listen to Mr. Toby Tobin on his radio show. Some time ago, when we captured the audio, and I got some very valuable advice from someone here in the community. They said, Mike, if you want to know what's going on in this county, listen to the radio station. And I'm like, okay. So I started listening to the radio station. And that's one of the key shows I listened to was Mr. Toby Tobin's show on WNZF and Friday Free for All. And if you get a chance, go and listen to this past Friday Free for All. You'll probably laugh when you listen to the show, but go and listen to it and go back and look in the archives and listen to their shows as far back as you can go, because you're going to find a lot of interesting information in there. Their whole push is to build more houses here. In one broadcast, someone said, I won't say their name, said that for as far as industrial within a community, 25% is healthy. And this person said, we'll never get above 10. And everybody who lives here now, and you're keeping track of what's going on, keeping track of the score, we have 3% or less of our property that is designated for industrial growth. And I would hope that you agree with me that this city was improperly planned. We can see that by the stormwater, and you can, they vacillate between what ITT envisioned and then what Palm Coast. And they vacillate between the two to get what they want. And right now what they want is that big acreage out on the west side of town. That's what they're looking to grab a hold of and get those entitlements so they can build what they want to. One of the people on the radio show actually said, well, we'll just sprinkle in a little bit of affordable housing. And, we can give the people what we can do what we want with. They went as far as saying that we get to write the codes. And then it was a Freudian slip that said, oh no, the city gets to write the code. Well, the answer is they get to write the code because they control what goes on in our city government. So we have to fight them. We have to fight them. Let me go ahead and get to this next question. Is it on YouTube? The radio show. The stuff's not on YouTube. Vinny asked this question, is it on YouTube? You can go to the WNZF Flagler radio app. You can download the app and you can keep track of their broadcasts and listen to their podcasts, but they are not on YouTube. And you probably go on, I never tried to go online on their actual website and see how far their archives go back, but you can go back and start listening. Last May time frame is when I started really paying attention. Okay. So that's their plan. Their plan is to get those entitlements out on the west side, to build more houses, not bring industry in here, because if the person says, well, 25% is healthy, but we'll never get above 10, that should be telling you something. You need to pay attention to that. Okay, Al said, are you connected with any builders, developers, or realtors? No. Any more, Trace? You got any more questions? Okay. Next question. That's notes. Those are old notes. So that's their big push. And here's a question that came from Skip from earlier. He commented on one of my posts online. He said, how are you planning on finding developers? There's legal issues with all that. Well, here's another tidbit for you. This thing they're going through right now, the comprehensive plan review, they keep saying it over and over. If you listen to them talk about it, they say comprehensive plan, They say it about 17 times in 3 sentences. That's how many times they say it. Well, they're updating the comprehensive plan. Everything that happens in the city as far as development and growth and how things are happening they have to abide by the comprehensive plan and the land development code. Well, my assumption is, and what I think is going to happen is, they want to get through this comprehensive plan to get community buy-in on what they want to do. And then they're going to change the land development code to be able to fit what they want to do. They want to reduce lot size where they can stuff in more people. I can guarantee you that. And we have to fight them. So you need to start paying attention and watch what they're doing, because they're going to do it if you let them. And I'm trying to fight it. If you're not going to get this county and city where it needs to be on industrial growth to counterbalance or offset the tax base, your taxes are going to keep going up. They're going to keep going up, and people are going to keep fleeing because they can't afford to live here. And here's another one I'll go over real quick with you. The snowbirds, I feel extremely sorry for the snowbirds that come down here and own property, because if they don't get their homestead exemption and start living here, their taxes are going to go up 10%, 10%, 10% every year, and they're going to be like, wow, okay, I got to get out of here. But Skip's question is how you fight them. You fight them with the land development code. That's our key weapon against all this growth and all this development. And let me close this real quick. I wanted to open this up, and everybody can write this down if you want and go and look at it for yourself. 2.05.05 of the Land Development Code, review findings. Every time they go in and they're upzoning and they're rezoning stuff, they always say, oh, it meets 2.05.05. They just glaze right over it, which is horse hockey, to be nice about it. Okay, when the city council are debating these issues, you read through here. It says that, well, let's start here first. The decision to issue a development order shall be based upon the following, including but not limited to. Remember that. The proposed development must not be in conflict or contrary to the public interest. Well, it is against our public interest to keep stuffing all these houses in here without providing jobs for the populace to work and be able to feed their family and be able to afford to live here. Okay, B, the proposed development must be consistent with the comprehensive plan and the provisions of the Land Development Code. Hello, they're trying to do the comprehensive plan, then they're going to try to change the Land Development Code. Just telling you something. Okay, C. The proposed development must not impose significant financial liability or hardship to the city. Well, we're seeing it right now. They asked for $35 million for wastewater expansion at Plant 1. We got $1 million. That was corrected on Flagler Live. He corrected the article. They got $1 million. They asked for $35 million. Just a couple of weeks ago, they were talking about the study, talking about raising our water rates to pay for improvements on our water system. And I hope a lot of you will know that we have swaths of the city that we have to have new wells for because we don't have enough water. Well, we're in the L section, and we moved from the B section, and the water pressure here is horrible. It's horrible. I can't, I have my little skiff that I have to run water through. I can't even run water through my engine because there's not enough water pressure to clean out my engine with fresh water. And then E, it says proposed development must comply with all other applicable state and federal law, statute, ordinance, and regulations. Oh, I'm sorry, that's E. D, the proposed development must not create an unreasonable hazard, nuisance, or constitute a threat to the general health, welfare, safety of the city's inhabitants. Okay, so that's what you got to do. You can't let them come in and manhandle our city and say we get to write the codes. So you got to fight it. And as far as I'm concerned, I want stuff zoned industrial, so we can try to get somebody in here. I think I mentioned before there's a company out of Texas that needed 680,000 square foot facility. That's a little over 18 acres. They just glossed right over that. No big deal. You can't work with all these developers and come up with, like, say 35 acres. Anybody that's wanting to build a facility that's that large is, if it's manufacturing something, we need to encourage that because we need those jobs here. They keep talking about rooftop. Well, we got 25,000 people that leave it, 25,000 or so people that leave here every morning to go work somewhere else. We have the workforce now, and there's nothing wrong with other people coming into work in our county. There's nothing wrong with it. We have teachers, firefighters, police officers that come in to work here because they can't afford to live here. So we need to provide that upward mobility for our citizens to be able to live, work, play, and raise their families here. What you got? Now, Christine, how can we encourage industrial growth? We have the right people working within the city that's going to go out and recruit those organizations and try to get them to come in here. We've all been, people that's been here 15, 20 years know, they know full well that other organizations have tried to come in here to try to build manufacturing and distribution centers. And it's always been put off. They're like, no, we don't want that here. We don't want that here. Palm Coast is not a retirement community. It's not. This is not the Villages. We are a working class community with working class folks that are trying to raise their kids and put food on the table to feed their families and live their lives and enjoy it. And it's getting harder and harder every day. So we have to make the effort, get the right people within those government or those city departments that are going to reach out, that has that kind of influence that can say, hey, come on down here and check out. We are what? The second most popular city in Florida to move to in the state. That's great. That's great. Let's make this the number one destination for business and industry in the state of Florida. That's my goal, is to get jobs here so we can offset our tax burden. I don't want to have to pay and keep looking at my tax bill go up every year, at a whim. And another thing that I think the current mayor mentioned something about it on his past Friday show. I don't know where they're at in it, but they're trying to propose a law to reduce that 3% max that we have to 2%. So what that means is cities and communities, counties included, are going to be stretched even further because that's another percentage off the amount of money they can tax their residents for their homes and their businesses. So, and if you get the chance, like me and Tracy, if we get the chance to vote on a ballot to lower my tax burden, we're going to do it. I'm going to do it. You're going to do it. Everyone's going to do it. And it's going to become law. And the state's going to have to follow that law and say, hey, look, you can only tax homestead exempt homes 2%. So you're cutting out a third of the revenue they're going to be generating within their organizations. But we have to offset and balance out our economic growth. So we can do it. We just have to hire the right people. I monitor. I was big into stocks at one time, and I monitor. I'm a news junkie, and I'm listening to these organizations. We have clean manufacturing now. Manufacturing is not what it was back in the 60s and 70s. The Pittsburgh steel mills and stuff like that. That's not anymore. Let's create semiconductors. They're trying to onshore those jobs and make semiconductors here, so we're not dependent on Taiwan. Let's bring that kind of organization here and grow our tax base in Palm Coast and make it more affordable for people to live here. You got any more, Trace? Okay, we'll just go with the next one. It says, this is from Lincoln. It says, how do you plan to make our town center come to life when the city does it on the land? And this is in my platform, Lincoln. You can look at my platform and read it. You have to work with those centers of influence, those stakeholders that owns that land in the town center. At the Tuesday's meeting, after the hullabaloo of them firing the city managers, near the end of the meeting, after everyone had left the room, and even some of the council members said it's a shame that there's only 4 people in here listening to this meeting. Well, they have one building that's going in. It's the promenade that's going to go in, and it's going to be what I've talked about and what I've been pushing for in the town center. We have retail shops on the bottom floor, offices on the second, and then apartments on the upper floors. That's a great concept, and they're still working through the design and everything on it. And I did stand up and I mentioned that we need to try to go with that old Florida feel with the awning fronts. Like in DeLand or down in Delray Beach or in some of the other communities around. We need to go with that feel, but they're getting ready to start building that. It's going to be at the corner of Bulldog and I think Central. It's across the street from the apartments that are right there on the corner and behind the high school in that area along there. Well, that's what we need. We need that up and down. That was the concept back in the day that we all moved here for. Well, we did. We came here in 2006. Because back then it was like one of the fastest growing communities in the country and the state. Well, that never materialized. But I will go back to the fact that, and so that's coming. Hopefully they're going to follow through on that, and we'll see it through completion, and we'll actually get those shops and dining, restaurant, boutiques, especially boutiques and stuff like that in the town center. When I'll go back to it for a second about the poorly designed city. We remember back in the day, and I had a meeting with Miss Bevan before she was let go from her position, and we were talking about economic development and stuff like that. And I told her, I said, Denise, I said, we remember going to the end of Matanzas Woods Parkway, and there being a sign out there on the other side of the road for an industrial park coming soon. They have misused. That is our most valuable resource in our county because we're not a very big county. So they misused that land. All those houses out there, I'm happy for the people that live out there. God bless them. Have a happy life. I hope you stay. But just know that there's going to be an overpass that's going to go in there. That roundabout's going away from what Mr. Sullivan said at county. That roundabout's going to go away, and they're going to put an overpass. Well, we already know about the overpass. I'm just about the roundabout. It's going to be an overpass to go over those those railroad tracks to open up that westward frontier. So all those people that are out there where that industrial park was supposed to be at one time, all those houses, they're going to have an overpass right next to their house. I'm sorry it's going to happen, but that's the powers that be and the way they see developing our most valuable resource, our land. Um, Anywhere in Florida, Tracy grew up in Florida. She's a Florida girl from Fort Lauderdale, and she witnessed it, and I witnessed it after we met and all that stuff after we got married. But Fort Lauderdale just kept pushing west, pushing west, pushing west to the Everglades. And anywhere in the state, US 1 is usually commercial and industrial. And we didn't take advantage of that when we had it. Now, economic conditions, what happened during the recession and the elections and the market crash of all the houses, which we suffered through. Our home value went down after 2006. We lost over $100,000 on our house like that. But they misused that property out there. That's what that should have been dedicated to, and that's the way it should have been developed. But it's poor management and poor planning, and this is not a retirement community. And we have the schools are suffering now. Teacher shortage, more kids coming into the school. Well, um, people with kids aren't our age. They're younger, 25, 30 years old. They start, well, even younger than that. They have kids. They have growing families. We need to have jobs. Need to have an outlet for those kids coming out of school. And that's the way it should have been planned, and it didn't happen. It's not a retirement community. 65 and older, 55 and older, people are still coming here, but a lot of people 55 and older are still working because the economy's that bad. So we need to fix that. Okay, Tina, if you become mayor, can you counsel this home building and turn land into manufacturing or maybe Amazon distribution center? I think we've already discussed that, Tina. We get a vote. I just went over 2.05.05 with you. We get a vote. You elect your district representative and your mayor to represent the best interest of you and your family and your community. There's a reason why the city council votes on those developments, the upzoning, the rezoning. There's a reason they vote on it. And if you have 3 votes to say, no, that's not in the best, I'm quoting 2.0505, I don't think that's in the best interest of our community. Well, guess what? You can pound sand and get lost because it's not happening. Come back with a better plan because we're not going to support that. Got any more, Trace? Okay. Let's see. We've already talked about town center. We talked about marketing business. And I think I mentioned this on the last live that we did about somebody posted a TV commercial up north where they were advertising Palm Coast as a place to live, and it had the city of Palm Coast website on there. I'm like, well, I sure hope the city's not paying for that, but I will definitely talk to whoever the city manager is. Like, we are not, and run it through the council. We are not spending any money within any marketing budget towards advertising Palm Coast as a place to come live. You can see it now. You hadn't seen anything yet. You've seen some, but you hadn't seen anything yet. There's communities popping up all over the place. And out here on the west side, if you're not on this end of town, if you didn't come up this way, come up and take a ride up US 1 towards St. Augustine and look out your left driver's side window and look at the barren land out there where all those houses are going to go. They're getting ready to start this construction on this roundabout up at Old Kings Road, which I completely disagree with because I don't think we need it up there. But they're getting their way. The developers are getting what they want. They're going to have a back entrance into that development out there, which butts up against Sawmill. That's one of the most insulting things that's happened in this community. And I hope Mr. James is watching this because we had a conversation yesterday. That Sawmill Creek, that's a historic site. And they've done everything, the run roughshod over those guys. And they're like, Mike, we just can't fight them. We don't have the resources to fight them. We can't get anybody at state, national, anybody to fight. And and that's sad because the, like I said, the saddest part was them naming that development out there Sawmill. You completely disrespect the history of that site by naming it Sawmill because all you're doing is running roughshod over it and button houses up to a historic site that can be something um, historically significant, and preserved in our community. And it's just going to be, you know, it's just not going to be. Okay. Am I going with Marissa's question? Okay. Marissa said, will you review our evaluation procedures? We have zones, but for now, do you think it should be updated? Um, I don't understand that question, Marissa. Maybe you can rephrase it. But I can tell you this: I'm not in favor of upzoning anything. We saw that over at the marina, and Miss Celia, a lot of people within the community fought it, stood up and said, "Hey, you're wrong for doing this." They blew out the density over there, and we can cover this too because a lot of people may not have been here for the last live. Um, Around the marina, if you go to the end of Clubhouse Drive, the marina is right there, and you got the Palm Coast Resort sitting back up in there. And then you have the only parking deck in the cities right there. Well, that strip of land, that L-shaped piece of land, was zoned the way it was zoned for a destination resort to come into our community. It's supposed to have had 40,000 square feet of ballroom, shops, restaurants, a hotel, all that stuff there. Um, when they upzoned it, we lost that. And the most insulting thing is the total number of units between townhouses, condos, and all the stuff that's supposed to go in there. The total with the Palm Coast Resort included, the total number of units that are going to be in there is supposed to be 371. Well, if they would have got the destination resort, they were estimating that we were going to have 371 jobs, full-time permanent jobs created by that destination resort. And we lost that because of upzoning. Okay, go lay down, buddy. Go lay down. Okay, bye, baby. Take this one. Evacuate. Marissa, what about evacuation zones? Oh, I think you're talking about how they've, this goes into her other question. Maybe she's trying to clarify about the zones within the city for flooding, and that's why they were raising. I've got to do more research on that, Marissa. I'm sorry, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the elevations, and I understand what you're. It needs to be addressed. I agree with it. I don't have all the information. I don't have all the answers, but I'll keep a note of this and I'll get back with you on it. Okay. Next question is Al again. This is Al. This is I know Al. No, me and Al met though. I know Al. Okay, why do you think some of the people from city commission, should be city council, are running for county? I can't speak for any of those people, Al. And he said they did a terrible job in the city, and now they want to run for county commission. These folks are politicians, Al. I'm not a politician. I'm a leader. And I'm not running. Somebody was asking about my party affiliation. Once I told them my party affiliation on Facebook, they said, well, I'm not voting for you. I said, well, I'm sorry, but I'm running as a leader. I'm not running as a politician. And I really don't want anybody putting a label on me because I'm running because I think I can do something for the city. I consider myself a leader, not a politician. My undergraduate degree is in political science, but I've never wanted to be a politician. But this is my community, and I'm trying to do the right thing for me, my family, and my neighbors, and the people of this community. So it's not politics for me; it's personal. Um, but the people that are running for county, they're running for county because apparently they think they've done a good job. So you vote your conscience, and you let them know how you feel about that. Any more, Trace? Are we keeping up? Are you okay? Okay. All right. Now I'm looking. Um, That's all of them. We'll wait until we get some more questions if Tracy gets more. Um, yeah, we're getting out. We need volunteers. So if you want to participate in the campaign and you want to make a positive change, and you like my platform and you like me personally, and you think I can do something that you want done in your city, reach out to me, email me, go and subscribe to the website, and you'll get all our updates. We still have signs. We're trying to get all our signs out. We got people that are out canvassing. Thank you, Dennis and Anne Marie. They're my rock stars. They're out as much as they can canvassing for me. Um, and I get out and I go around and I talk to people, and you see some of the things like, man, wow. Oh, this is another situation I'll tell you about. Out here in London, we live off of London. There's houses out on London, and we have never, since we've lived up in this end of the city, we've never seen any flooding issues out on London, other than setting water when it's really heavy rains. But it's about prioritizing what needs to be done in the city. If everyone recalls that video I shot standing outside of the house that was elevated, and the neighbor's property is being flooded, and his pool's being ruined, his pool pump's being ruined, over there in the P section. Well, they're out here clearing and grading swells on London, and London doesn't have that big of an issue with flooding, but they're out there and they're grading. It's like from 26 to 36 or something. They're grading that side of the road. Meanwhile, down in the P section, you got culverts that are overgrown, driveways collapsing. The guy that lived there said his family's been here since 1976, and the culverts have never been cleaned and the swells have never been graded since 1976. But our priority is over in one of the newer sections of the city that doesn't have a flooding issue, that doesn't have people's pools and backyards flooding. But that's what our priority. We got to work. We got to prioritize what needs to be done in the city. Okay. Lee said, Alvin said he went to Annapolis. Did he graduate from the Naval Academy? As far as I know, no. I don't know why you asked me that question, but no, as far as I know, and I won't get into it, but Mr. Alvin is not a Naval Academy graduate. Okay, Vinny, I spoke with a lady that won't vote for you because she believes career military are authoritarians. Do I sound like an authoritarian, Vinny? I'm just a guy. I was in the military, and there's the acronym, and they came up with this acronym back in the 80s in the 90s, and they came up with this acronym, and I was thinking to myself, wow. Why? And it was back when some people may recall the Aberdeen Proving Grounds thing. That's when I got picked up to be a drill sergeant back in those days. But they said, "Hey, we need to instill values in our soldiers, and we got to." It was all optics, and they came up with this acronym. It was leadership, loyalty, duty, respect, honor, integrity, personal courage, and self-sacrifice. And they said, this is the acronym for the Army. And I told somebody, I said, hey, look, I said, we don't need an acronym. We learned that in leadership development. When my first course to become a leader, it's called Primary Leadership Development course. And all that's in the manuals. All that's in the manuals. People in the military are servant leaders because you're trying to help the guy next to you, your soldiers, the people that work with you, your team. You're trying to make sure they're healthy, their families are taken care of, their finances are taken care of, they're physically fit, they know their jobs, and that's what leaders do in the military. They train their soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Space Force people. They train them to do their job, take care of their family, and instill those values in them of leadership, loyalty, duty, respect, honor, integrity, personal courage, self-sacrifice. That's just normal everyday people. Isn't that what normal everyday people are thriving for, is to be productive members of society and doing the right thing and taking care of their people. That's I'm not authoritarian. I consider myself a participatory leader. Working with people. I've dug ditches before. I've dug ditches on property that I lived on in South Carolina when I was a kid. I dug ditches. Uh, I believe in getting my hands dirty and doing it. Anytime I was in a leadership position, I was right there with my men and women doing the job. They didn't have to say, "Hey, Sergeant, can you help us out?" No, I'm there. I supervise, but I do. Leaders in the military do a lot of work, and it's not about themselves. Some people, it's about career progression and climbing the ranks because they have career goals. But that's not how most people in the military work. The rank and the promotions and stuff comes with doing the right thing and taking care of your soldiers and your people. So I wouldn't consider myself authoritarian at all. And maybe I am with my children to make sure they're doing the right thing. But sometimes, um, being stern and making them stick to what they're supposed to do, it works because my kids are very successful. I got one kid that's a new ensign in Navy, and I got a kid up at Florida State University doing his thing. So, and they both scored. Christian scored 1490 on his SAT. Sean scored 1540. So we do what we have to do to take care of our families. Offer to drive the lady to meet you. Vinny says she offered to drive the lady to meet you. Thank her. Yeah, thank you, Vinny. Yeah, bring her over. I'm sorry. That's your side note, Trace. Don't do that to me. Yeah, bring her over. This is where I live. Everybody should know where I live by now. Ask Brad West. I live around the corner from him. He knows where I live. Okay, John, are you going to do a Q&A? You mean an in-person event? Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to those, John. We're going to try to do as much as we can. A lot of people are starting to catch up. I've been on the campaign trail since last January when I filed my paperwork. So I've been out meeting people. I've met with the property appraiser. I met with Miss Devon. I met with a few of the leaders within the community, and a lot of people have to understand. When I decided to run, I think we had 11 people here at my house when I decided to run, to help me develop my platform and narrow it down to the main things I needed to focus on my campaign and my platform. And that's when I came up, when the next morning, once I came up with all the things that were key, 5 things, because I do have the military mindset, and I remember things better with acronyms, and a lot of people are maybe like that. You have keywords that clue you in and keep you on track. But we had like 11 people here that are leaders within the community, and we sat down and we went over. And the next morning, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at all these things. I'm like, how can I put it into an easy to remember acronym so I can refer and do my key points? And that's when I came up with the acronym RAISE: revitalizing existing infrastructure, attracting industrial growth and employment opportunities, increasing safety and security, smart growth and expansion of the city boundaries, and empowering the commercial development of town center. So that's where I came up with that acronym. And I want it to be, and people, I keep saying it over and over again, but I want it to be in the forefront of everyone's mind that this city council, minus Miss Pontieri and Miss Hyder, gave themselves a 151% pay raise, probably closer to 300% with the health benefits that they granted themselves and all the other perks of being a elected official in this city. Okay, Al said, do you think we should have debates? Yes, sir, I think we should have debates. And I know I talked to Daniel Anderson when she shot that interview with me that the Tiger Bay Club is going to hold debates and forums. And the radio station, I think Kurt Keller said the same thing. They're going to do debates and candidate forums. I would like to say, and if you guys know him, you can reach out to him. Brian McMillan, I wrote a letter last week to the editor of the paper about the ending of the legislative session and how I think the city set their priorities wrong. And I sent him that letter, and he hadn't published it. And it seems like they've been a little bit day late and a dollar short on getting stuff out because it took them almost a month to even print anything about me running for office. So you got to understand the powers that be control the media around here. So this is an alternative right here. Facebook, those guys at um, Flagler Weekly Podcast, those guys gave me a chance to interview with them, and we sat down and had a conversation. So we're going to be looking for alternatives, but I'll debate anybody, but I'm not, and I'll do some forums, but primarily I'm looking to do debates with my competition as mayor. I don't want to do a round table of people running for county, city, mosquito control, House of Representatives, Senate. I don't want to do that. I want to be one-on-one with the guys that are trying for my job, because everybody's got their own thing, and I don't want to get into a food fight, so to speak, with other people running for office and their thoughts and ideas. So I'm primarily focusing on the mayor's race. Okay, let's see. John said, what can we do to help with your campaign? Primarily is volunteers. I need volunteers for canvassing, and we always need money. And I'm a Southern boy. I grew up in my family, you don't ask people for money, but I have to ask people money for this campaign, because we're not taking any money from large contributors, no money from developers. That was already a pledge. So if you can give anything, you go to Norris for mayor, you go to contribute, and here's a little trick. The service we use, it asks you to make a small contribution to the service because it's free for the people that use it. But if you want all the money to come to my campaign, when it asks you for that contribution, you hit other and you put 0, and all the money that you contribute goes straight to my campaign. We're a lean, mean fighting machine. My biggest expenditures, we've already done most of them. We have plenty of signs. I'm still trying to get signs out. We have door hangers. That we put out when we go canvass, and I hand it to the people. If they answer the door and I talk to them, I'm like, well, on the back is what I'm about. You can scan the QR code and go straight to my website and read about me and my family and my professional background. So we have that, and right now we're looking halfway decent, but we can always, when it comes closer to the election, we're going to need money for advertising on TV, radio, all those things. So right now, anything going into the budget of the campaign is going to be used for advertising, and I do have some stickers. We did T-shirts. I have these polos. These are kind of a little bit more expensive, but these were people that I bought these for myself and people that are canvassing, because everybody kept saying, Mike, you need a name tag. You need a name tag that you're running for mayor. I'm like, I wore my name on my chest for 24 years. I'm like, I don't like doing that. And I'm not really a polo kind of guy, but these are those wick material, and I kind of like this. And we got the I Like Mike logo. So, but the main thing, John, is if you contribute to the campaign, I appreciate it. If you want to volunteer to walk and canvass and help out phone banking, we need phone banking to call people when we get closer to the election. And even now, we can start reaching out. So just hit me up, subscribe to the website, and we'll get you some work to do. I guarantee it. Oh, okay. I won't do that. I'm going to say it anyway. Sean said, don't let Cowboy hit my mic. I won't let him do it next time. Any more questions? We're looking on time. We got about 12 minutes left, I think. Anyone else? How many people we got still alive? 23. Anybody else got any more questions for me? Yeah, I did that one video. Someone asked me. It was a prior service military person asked me about, and they were actually on submarines before, and they were asking about a situation in your career where you had to make a decision and had to account for your actions and stuff. So you can go and watch that video. And I told a story about when I was a drill sergeant, and that goes back to the number of people that you've managed in your life. And in that video, I talk about when we had a cycle of privates, and anybody that's been through basic training, AIT, and all that stuff. We had soldiers for 19 weeks. We did what's called OSIT, one station training, and we had upwards between 200 and 250 uh, soldiers going through training. We had to train them from how to march, how to make their bed, how to shoot a rifle, how to do first aid, and then we had to train them how to do their job. So I had to train them on. I was a chemical operations specialist when I was enlisted, so I had to train people on how to use the equipment and how to do surveys and down uh, downwind downwind contamination. We trained them for all that stuff. So you know, my military service, I break it down in like three stages, really. I started out as a private E1 in the 82nd Airborne Division, you know, and I spent like my first 10 years at Bragg, training, jumping out of airplanes and stuff like that, and training for deployments. I deployed to Desert Shield, Desert Storm when I was 20. I was 20 years old, so I turned 21 in the desert as a PFC. So that was like the first stage of my career in the military. And right after me and Tracy started dating and stuff, got married, I got picked up for drill sergeant. So that was left behind. And I always thought I'd go back to Fort Bragg eventually, one way or the other, because that was my home. I'd always go back to Fort Bragg. But once I commissioned and I became a field artillery officer, I never got back. And I was a jump master, so I was a senior rated parachutist. I was a jump master. I used to put people out the planes, and I had videos and stuff of that. Yeah, I only needed 6 jumps to get my master blaster wings, and that was one of my big disappointments of not getting back to Bragg to get that. So I had 59 jumps out of airplanes, but that was like a stage in my life. And then I became a drill sergeant, you know, and me and Tracy had the boys, and received my commission in '02 and deploying as a platoon leader, you know, leading my soldiers over there. And I thank God every day that I brought all my men and women home. I never had any of my guys really hurt seriously or injured while on deployment. And that was and then I got back, and that was the later stage of my career, trying to wind down to the end. So I went over 20. I went 24. I had a pretty good career to go from E1 to captain, retiring, a couple of Bronze Stars. So I was pretty successful. John said he's on a Biden budget. What would? Oh, okay. You gotta just give me the question, then, babe. Don't give me extra stuff. Yeah, everybody's on a fixed budget anyway, John. What are you going to do about all the building? We've already talked about that. We're gonna have to fight it, and if it's not good for the city, we can vote no. If the council, you know, if I have a majority of the council on my side, and I'm like, hey, the city's not ready for this. My focus is getting jobs into our community, industry in our community, and fixing our infrastructure. Fixing our infrastructure. We have a lot of issues going on. We already talked about the water. They asked for 35 million. They got 1 million, but we got $80 million. Over half of the money that the county is slated to get if the governor signs the legislation in the budget. Over half of the money coming to our county is going to that road out west. So what does that tell you? There's a lot of stuff that got shortchanged in this budget cycle as far as our county. And our representative, he is term limited out, and he's the Speaker of the House. So you can go ahead and look forward to us being at the bottom of the totem pole as far as money being allocated to our county and our city, because there's going to be new people in those positions after this election, and we're not going to have anybody in the leadership positions. And as some of you know, if you're keeping track, Jacksonville elected a Democrat mayor. Jacksonville didn't get hardly any money this year in the budget cycle. So if you don't have those people in power in the state house and in the state senate that are going to be fighting for that money for your district and your city and your county, if you don't get it, you don't get it. So you've got to live with what you got. So we're about to be in a little bit of pain. But we have to fight the building. We have to bring in industry, and we can't let them exploit the western frontier for houses without putting industrial. 25%, we're at 3% now. If we could get to 25, 30, 40%, that might be good. But if we let them zone all that out there for residential housing, it's not going to help us at all. Okay. Do you have any specific companies, industry you want in Palm Coast as mayor? Not anything specific, Shrek, but I want anything that's clean manufacturing that's going to put people to work with high paying jobs. That's what we're looking for, and that's what we're going to have to market our city for. And um, if we get the right people on the staff that can cultivate those relationships with those industries, I'm all for anything that's going to bring high paying jobs and increase our tax base to our community. I can't say specifically because I haven't really reached out to anyone because I'm not in that position, because you don't have any leverage, excuse me, if you're not in that position. I can't call up to somebody and say, hey, I'm Mike Norris, I'd like you to come bring your business to Palm Coast. And I'm like, well, I don't know you, Mike Norris, bye. But when you're in that position, you can have your staff, you can you can you have more leverage to reach out. So any industry that's clean manufacturing is what I'll go with. Perry said, how do you feel about zero balance budget for the city? How might you achieve that? Um, I'm kind of lost on what you're saying, Perry. You're talking about as far as we have to have a balanced budget within the city and with our reserves. So I don't quite get the question. So you can talk to me offline about that. Um, but so one thing I did want to mention was I think we got a total between the YMC Family Center and the money for YMCA here in the city that they're trying to do. I think they got around $9 million. So I don't know if that's going to completely cover the cost of putting a YMCA at town center. So that money's going to have to come from somewhere else. Right now, we are the county. The county has. I went to a stormwater management meeting they had some months ago, and they're going to need $40 million out mostly for the west side of the county as far as stormwater management. So I'd like to prepare everybody. I know it's an election year, and they're going to try not to raise taxes, but I think we're gonna get hit this year. Hit unless someone takes some drastic cuts. I tell you where I think we need to focus is we've grown our city staff by 25% since 2020. And I went back and I read some of the articles. So in 2020 we had like 500 employees. Now we have 624 employees. That's almost 25% increase in our city staff. Now this is during COVID, what could be considered a recession, and coming out of COVID, the election, and all that hyperinflation that's going on. And we increased our city staff by 25%. If somebody can show me a comparable business with 500 employees that increased their business by 25%, post-COVID, not regaining the jobs they lost due to COVID, but just adding on 25% to the workforce. I like to see that company, and I think that was a bad move. And I think one of the things we're going to have to do is look at the number of people we have working for the city, because government's job is not to create jobs. Just putting more and more people on the payroll, that's not the way. We should be encouraging civilian organizations, private sector jobs to come in our area, not just to keep growing and growing the government. Right now in our county here, the largest employer in the county is government followed by the hospitals. So we need to encourage that private sector growth to, to, to for the people that live here. We can't just keep creating more jobs for the city. We got, they said, do more with less. Well, we haven't been doing more with less. We're doing more with less because our taxes keep going. What? What? Okay, whatever. My bad. I might have been rambling. I'm not supposed to ramble. Okay, Henry. Oh, this one? Okay. Okay. All right. Two more questions. Henry is one of them. But anyway, Perry, get with me. We'll talk about the zero balance budget. Um, what will you do? This is from Henry. What will you do to bring business and manufacturing? We already talked about it, Henry, as far as getting the right people working for the city government that's going to reach out to those organizations that are looking to relocate their business or expand their businesses into Florida. We're the free state of Florida, and if we're the second most popular place to move to in the state, we should be the number one place for business, and that's what we got to do. We got to attract those industries to come work here. The main thing we need to do is have the land for it. Right now, we have less than 3% of our land that's designated for industrial growth. We need to drastically change that, and I don't think the current council is planning on that. That's not their objectives from what I've seen in the media and the people that I'm following. That's not their objective. They're looking for land rights out on the west side to build more houses, estates, and bring more people here, not jobs and employment opportunities. And I'd advise everybody to do this. When you're listening to somebody running for office, listen to what they say as far as employment and industrial growth. Because if that's not their mantra, if that's not what they're talking, and that's not what they're seeking to do, you might want to think about that, because it's not going to work. It's unsustainable for us to keep bringing in people and not bringing any businesses and industry that's going to support it and diversify our tax base. It's not there. And all the people I hear, the current people, there's only a couple of them that talk about it, one in particular, and I'm glad. But they're not talking about that. They don't talk about jobs and employment opportunities. But if a business talks to the city, if the chief of staff stands up and says, we got this company that needs a 680,000 square foot facility, and they just gloss over it like he didn't even say it, that's concerning to me. And I still have to get an answer on that. They gave me the name of the business. They were out of Texas. They gave me the name of the business, but they didn't tell me specifically what they wanted to build here in the city. And I've sent a follow-up RFI on that to see if they'll let me know what they actually wanted to build. And if it's bringing jobs, especially $200-300 jobs, we need that. We certainly need that. Who's the last question, Trace? Holly. How would you run a council meeting? Not everyone is going to be happy with a politically divided country. Your affiliation will matter. Are you willing to travel to other areas and ideas that would work for Palm Coast? Parts of Tampa are facing flooding. I've talked about this before. Well, I've talked about this with a few people, Holly. I may not have talked about it on the live or on any of my videos, but we have other cities within the state that have canals on the West Coast, down in Fort Lauderdale. I fully expect to get the people on, especially our stormwater and water management systems, have them go down and do collaboration. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We don't have to do it. There's like the design for the new one of the new fire stations. The design was like so much money over the budget they're trying to allocate for it. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. I was thinking about that today. I'm like, wow, they paid that much money to have a design. Why not get with someone else that's built a similar structure and just get a design and go with that? And it's just like, in the military, we're all about not reinventing the wheel. If somebody's got something out there that you can use, you use it. You don't reinvent the wheel. Same thing with like stormwater management and stuff. Fort Lauderdale's having issues with flooding and stuff down there right now. Tracy's sister still lives down there. They're having issues down there, and some of it's due to increase in rainfall and stuff like that. And But there's other canal systems within the state. We can say, well, what's your best practices for mitigating the damage done by the flooding? And the city did have one company come in not too long ago, and they gave a presentation on a computer system, software monitoring system of theirs that monitor real time flooding issues and how the rainfall is affecting the city. And I think they decided not to go with it. Well, I can understand that's just more money wasted on another computer system. I understand that, but I do believe that during every time it rains, our stormwater management teams need to be out riding the streets, designating and marking and annotating where the flooding events are going on, and to focus our priorities to fix that as soon as possible. That is like first priority after each major rainfall, is go out and fix those issues at the core where it started, and go from there. So it's a lot of priorities. You gotta make sure your priorities right when you're dealing with stuff like that. Okay, but anyway, we go over to the other cities on the West Coast that have canal systems, and collaborate with those guys to get their best practices. Okay. Go to, these are all notes Tracy's been passing to me. Go to the website. It's norris4mayor.com, and you can get there on both domains, just norris4mayor.com. Go read my platform. You can read about me and Trace and the kids. And we need volunteers, canvassers, door knockers, canvassers, phone banks, call bank, same thing. And we need money. We need money. I'm not taking any large contributions from any type of major corporations or anything like that. A lot of people don't like what I'm saying because I'm plain and simple, and we got some serious issues here. So every dollar counts. I'm very frugal. I don't like spending other people's money. That should be something you look in someone you want to elect. I don't like spending other people's money, and I prioritize our budget. You got needs and wants. What do you need and what you want, and we need to deal with what we need, not what we want. I'm about fixing our infrastructure and getting jobs and industry into our city. So that's my main focus, and I think we can get there, and we can make some positive changes for the city and try to get us on the right track. But flooding our city with houses is not the answer without the jobs and infrastructure to support it. So that's my main goals. So I think we're out of time. We went a little bit over, and I'm sorry if I rambled a little bit, but that's just how I am. Thank you. Visit the website. If you need me, call me, 386-264-9164, and I will schedule a meeting if you want. I'll come meet you at your home. We can meet for coffee or a beer, whatever you want to do. But I'm available. I'm semi-retired, and I'll reach out as much as I can. And if you have anything, just give me a call. Thank you. Good night.